All right, my friends, welcome back to this very special episode of the Limitless Women podcast. It is my privilege and my honor to share with you a woman that I respect and admire and have known for a long time. And somehow I reeled her in today. So get ready for a great ride and help me welcome Tiffany Peterson to our community.
Sweetheart, it's so good to see you. I love spending time with my fellow ginger sister
Yes,
and
yes.
the vibrancy that you are and what you're creating. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll just, tell a little story of how we got to be here today was that I reached out. I've been following Tiffany. We've been friends for a long time. We were trying to figure out it was Brendan Burchard or did we meet in those days when he was just getting started? Did we meet through eWomen or through all of the above and brought us together? But we would get to see each other years ago. And then we didn't get to see each other for a long time. And I just decided that I should reach out to you and ask if you'd come and speak at my event, not realizing, of course, that obviously I know you have a lot of other things going on. And you were like, yes. And this is my speaker fee, and this is what I do. And I said, I so appreciate that. And this is a fundraiser. And I'm wondering if you would be available. And you said, give me a little bit more time next time. And in the meantime, let's catch up. So we got on a call, and I just was so thrilled to reconnect with you. It's been a long time, and it's such a pleasure. And I feel like you have so much wisdom that you've imbued on me. I can't wait to have more women get to know you.
Well, thank you. Again, I think that, when people are doing great things in the world and you're doing so much good, and it's like there's just a magnetism to that. So when you'd reached out and then we had the opportunity to talk and catch up, and it was like, oh my gosh, woman, left that conversation feeling so edified.
Yay. Good. As you
Yeah.
should. As you should. And acknowledged for all the good work you do in the world and how many lives you change just by who you be all the time, which is really I think, Tiffany, when I think back to when I met you, and I was in so many ways in my infancy with my leadership of my voice and being a speaker, and you already had all this experience and wisdom. And, we've got your bio here and we know where you came from, but I would love for you to share a little bit of your journey from where you got into personal development and what that took you on, right? Because there's a whole lot of things that happened
Mhm.
along the way that have, culminated in the magnificence of who you are today. So how did you get into this work where you're sharing your own voice and your own message?
Well, the very short answer is God.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, like
Got a plan.
there it is. But I think all of us can relate to that life looks different than the way we planned.
Yeah.
So think about that, every one of you thinking, does life look exactly the way that I thought it would be, or the way it would go, and what I would be doing? And no, and that's part of what makes life so rich and beautiful, and the experience of the adventure of life and living, and the twists and the turns and the plot twists. Because what I'm doing today, I didn't grow up thinking about doing what I'm doing today. It was not this like, I know I want to be this businesswoman and I want to speak in front of groups and I want to do these kinds of things. Absolutely not. My intention was I'm going to be a school teacher and then get married and be a stay-at-home mom and sew Halloween costumes and raise babies and, do life in that way. And my life just looks very different than what I thought it was going to. And there's beauty in that. There's been pain in that, just like anyone else listening. But I think choosing into the path of being a seeker and a student, and I truly, like I say that, but I really did mean like I'm on this path because of God. And in
Mhm.
my faith path and in my relationship with spirit, the way that that's been cultivated. And just to be clear, I respect how everyone presences to their higher power and what names they may give that, the ways they connect to it. I no longer believe in the thought process that everyone should do it my way and there's only one way. It's like, no, that's quite limiting. But my own experience was, I thought I was going to be a special needs teacher. I worked in 3 classrooms as an aide to the teacher. I was going to university. They were all
Interesting.
elementary ed classrooms and
Mhm.
specifically, again, special needs. Always had a soft spot for that.
Yeah.
And while I loved that time, I happened to go on a double date in college, coincidence or not. And the woman and the other couple, her dad had a training development company. I was fascinated and curious. Like much of the night at dinner, I was asking her, well, what does this mean? And what does that look like? And how do you work with people and companies and skills and tools and things like that? And within a few months, I was working for that firm. And then from that firm, I became aware of Franklin Covey. And some of you know that name, some of you don't, but Stephen Covey, he's since passed, bless his soul. He wrote a very well-known book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Right.
And I was fascinated by this work. It was so principle based and it felt like so edifying and so much light. Well, I went to work for Franklin Covey and I became a top salesperson. I was selling coaching programs, y'all, back in the day before coaching was a big thing and we were still explaining to people what a coach was. Now,
Exactly.
now
Yeah.
right. Because now
What
coaching is
year was this?
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
What
I
year?
mean, we're talking, this is probably like 2004, 5,
Okay, more
20
20,
years
more
ago.
than 20 years ago, as
Yeah.
we're having this. Yeah. So people didn't even know it wasn't hip to be a coach. There was like, what's a coach?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, what is a
Yeah.
coach? I'm like a
Yeah.
tennis coach, a soccer coach. Like, what are we
Exactly.
talking about?
Yeah.
And I was selling coaching programs over the phone, Lara, for a
Wow.
few $1,000s. And I would close lots and lots of sales and became a top salesperson. We didn't have eye contact. We didn't even have Zoom.
Right.
We
Right.
weren't
Just like,
meeting in person. I had to train my ear how to read energy.
you're
And
so
so my sales skills of I didn't have body language. I didn't have like eye contact. I couldn't read the physicality,
right.
just simply tonality and the energy. And I learned how to become a very successful salesperson.
Hmm.
And I was successful because I so believed in what I was representing. And whatever you're going to sell, that's such a key piece. It's
Amen.
that it's not just about making a sale, it's about making an impact, it's about making a difference. And when people feel that and experience that, and I really just cared a lot about helping these people get out of their ruts, get out of their old habits, to get a coach, to get support for a period of time, to help them crest the change process.
Right.
Because change is not always easy, as we all know.
Exactly.
It's challenging. It can be very hard and to leave old habits that are quite familiar, even when we're aware, right? Like how often we're already aware, like certain habits are not in our best interest, but they can be hard to change because they're a habit. So that's going way back in the archives, but I mastered the art of selling, selling by my ear over the phone. And I became a top 10, which I was their first female in that company to have this accolade. I was their out of like 120 salespeople, the first female to be a top 10 salesperson, like an annual president's club, an annual
Yeah.
once a year recognition. And it changed my life. I was in my mid 20s making 6 figures as a young girl in Utah. Okay, everyone? Like, let's be clear. Like,
Not what you
I
thought you'd be doing. Yeah.
I was not like, I'm a boss babe. I'm going to be a business girl. I'm going to be a hustler. I'm going to close sales. It was like, no, I was going to be a school teacher and then
Wow.
bake bread and raise babies. And here I was like, just having this breakout experience of changing my thoughts, developing confidence,
Mhm.
learning how to sell, letting go of all my old beliefs that sales was icky and gross and what did
Right.
that mean, not realizing like sales is the essential skill to be able to connect, communicate, help people move forward, help them change their lives, whether you're product based, service based, whatnot. So all that to say, I did so well selling that they asked me to start training other people, and now we're tapping into my true gifts, which is teaching, training. And I would have these spiritual experiences in these corporate environments where I was a corporate sales trainer. And then as life had it, the universe said, yeah, we've done enough of that. Let's get out of the nest. We're going to fire your boss and dissolve his team, and we're going to give you a severance package. Oh, joy. Good luck.
Yeah.
And it was the best gift. And I went out on my own, started my own little business, like knees knocking, voice trembling. What am I doing?
You knew
How
how
do
to
I do this?
sell.
I knew how to sell,
You
but
were
like
so
growing a
important.
business and
Yeah.
marketing and like all of my network was in corporate.
Hmm.
And I'm very entrepreneurial based in my market now, as you know, which is how
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
crossed paths and things like that. But
Sure.
that's taking it back of how did I get on this path? Ultimately, it was God, very much. It still is. But I always had this teacher desire. I just thought I was going to be in a traditional classroom.
Right.
And the way that it's morphed and changed is the heartbeat's the same. The classroom is shifted form.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so vast. God has a bigger plan for you.
Yes, this is so
Yes. So
true.
exciting. So, so good. So one of the things that you said you'd like to talk about today, and we were like, I'm sitting here looking at my other computer, a picture of Zanzibar. It just FYI. The
Mm.
reason I'm bringing that is just like it reminds me that we just live in the deep end of the ocean in our world, right? It was like we talk about the surface things, and what's up right now is how do you today experience the courage to change, right? Like it's one thing
Mm.
I think in my own experience, when I think back of being my 20s and being like, okay, I'm just going to make this decision, I'm going to go for it. And, I think at that point, 40 years ago, I had a different perspective of how much time I had to pick myself back up again, right? And now it's not even a fear of being moving into my 60s of I won't have the time to pick up, but it's an awareness of the preciousness of time, right? Of uh, how much each day is a gift. And I'm curious about what does this season of life look like for you as you're talking to me about, this next version of your own journey and your own brand and your own awareness of how God's calling you to serve. What's on your heart about that?
Hmm. I love this, the courage to change. And any one of you listening, I just invite you to think about, as Laura's asking me, what's on your heart. I'm asking each of you listening the same thing is what's on your hearts, loves. Like, what are you feeling called to do? What do you want to see changed in your life? And whether it to you feels big and massive or small and simple or somewhere in between, but it's thinking about what do you want and where are you feeling called to and what you feel, this draw. Like there's this energy. I love Florence Shinn as an author. I love. She was popular in the late 1930s.
Mhm.
She has a really well-known book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And she talks about following the hunch. We have
Mhm.
hunches, nudges, promptings, impressions, spirit, intuition.
Right.
We give it lots of titles, but you all have this gift. And if you just catch your breath for a moment while you're listening to this show, and I'm so proud of you for turning into Laura's show, and whether, again, you're on a walk right now or you're listening to this or driving, but it's like just tuning in. Your own antenna is like, what do I want more of? What am I drawn to? And some of you have instant knowing because you've known it for a while. Some of you need to take a moment to pause and reflect because life's just been moving so fast.
Mm.
But the courage to change, because most times in the work that we both do in coaching, people hire me for change. They say, I want to grow my sales. I want to grow my business. I want to be more confident. I want to be happier and more at peace. Great, beautiful. We all often want change, but to change, the
Mhm.
process of change is usually not very comfortable. It requires death, loss, release of the familiar, of the old. And many times in life, I found that the harder changes to make is when we're leaving something good for potentially something great, or even not even good to great, right? It's more about more aligned in who are you now and in this season. And it does take courage to change. And so my own personal self right now behind the scenes is we're working on a lovely, beautiful, scary at times rebrand that includes changing my name. And I've built an entire business. I have two TEDx
Yes.
talks, thousands of hours
Yeah.
between stages, podcasts, training, teachings, you name it. And I'm changing my name. And there feels like, ooh, I'm excited about this. So when you find this show, whatever time, you likely will still be able to find me under Tiffany Peterson, but it also might be
AKA.
under, but you also might need to find me under the name Tiffany Love, which is the name that
Oh,
we're moving to, which was a spiritual
wow.
experience I had many years ago.
Wow.
And finally, I'm acting on it. We're talking about 7 years I've been wandering in the desert about this. There's a
Interesting.
lesson in that. The Lord gave me a very clear revelation 7
Mhm.
years ago. I was exploring adopting a child. I never had children of my own, always wanted them, didn't have them. I did not end up adopting a child because that was not a full yes. But in
Mhm.
the process of exploring that, I had this very clear revelation about if I was going to adopt a child, I didn't want to raise it in the name Peterson because that's my formerly married name.
Interesting. Okay.
And I
So
asked
that's
what,
the
yeah.
catalyst. Mhm.
So, long story short is that I was given this very clear revelation about the name love. It's who I am, it's who you are, it's who we all are. God is love.
Love
And
that.
it just has had such a resonance, but I haven't had the courage to change it because I'm real comfortable. Tiffany Peterson's an established name, brand, lots of hours, lots of success. But like sometimes, Laura, when you're dragging around something old that doesn't fit anymore,
Mm.
It's like when you're wearing those pants that are a little too tight,
Yep.
you
Abs-
know, or the energy. For me, it's been more of an energy where it's like, yeah, this is not in alignment anymore.
Yeah.
And the courage to change. And when we caught up, 2 months ago, I was so impressed. We talked about all the different places you've moved and lived and what they all had a lesson for you. And that took courage to leave in a known environment. It takes courage to leave a job or complete a relationship. It takes courage to like, hey, I'm going to lean in to do this new thing. It does take courage to change. It really does.
Yeah.
But I also want to balance that out, love, is because sometimes we think, oh, there's so much energy to change something. And some of us, it's like, oh, I need to really commit to my health and wellness and fitness path or to launch this business. I'm ready to leave my corporate job. I'm ready. Like, get me out of here. But it also, we're like, oh, the courage to change. We often think there's a lot of energy for that. That's true. But there's also a lot of energy you're doing right now just to maintain and to dole out. You know,
Mm.
when you know something's time, its time
Yeah.
has come,
You feel it.
but we quiet it, we numb it. Oh, well, I'm going to wait till it's perfect timing. I'm going to wait till I'm perfectly confident. I'm going to wait until I have no fear ever, and then I'll go do the thing. And that's just faulty. Is I love this reminder that ready is not a feeling, ready is a decision.
I
And
love
isn't that good? It's not
so
mine. I
good.
found it somewhere on the internet. I don't know whose
Yeah,
it
I
is, but
love that.
ready is
It's
not a feeling, it's a decision.
excellent.
And so sometimes, and while I'm not saying just take massive leaps and, like quit your job today, although unless it's the right time, just do it. Uh, go for it. But I
Yeah.
am saying that we have, again, all of you have an inner home that houses your spirit or your
Mhm.
intuition, your knowing. Again, call them a hunch, call them a prompting, an impression. We have knowing, especially women. We are gifted with this. Your little creation machines. Men have the same gift in just different ways, but it's like you have the access to the creator. You're a creator yourself.
Mhm.
But I'm just normalizing it does take courage to change. But let me also balance out it also takes energy. So the energy you're thinking about, oh, all that energy to change, you're also doing a certain amount of energy just to maintain status quo. And
Exactly.
that's heavy energy, my friends. Maintaining status quo, heavy. Show me what you're showing me.
This says embrace change.
Mm.
Much love, Laura. This is a leaf from our vineyard when we used to have our vineyard in Arizona.
Oh, yes.
And one of my dear, dear partners and friends, Andrea Bird, who worked with us for 10 years, she and I pulled these leaves and we decoupage them. And I keep this here. And what I didn't see until today is the wisdom of Tiffany Love is that this leaf is not struggling. This leaf is passing through a season, right? There's a
Mm.
gentleness in choosing to fall and then be reborn and all the goodness of the seasons. And I, until we had a vineyard, I didn't realize that they went through, all the color change. It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous, all the purples and the reds. What I want to acknowledge and put a pin in for myself to remember here today is that it takes a lot of energy to stay in the thing that is no longer congruent as well. And if you allow yourself, and you and I talked before about my prayer to lead a led life, right? I pray to be shown, and I've learned to pray to be obedient to the invitation, which is not was not natural for me. I'd like to be like, okay, show me, and I'm going to do it. And I'd like to take full responsibility for all the good things and no responsibility for the bad things. As a younger person, I was pretty foolish and arrogant often, and as a more mature person, I'm hoping in this season of life to have a little more grace and gratitude, right, for this of the unfolding of things, right? And letting that happen. But it requires us to step up. I literally just wrote this in something that I did for a post for a class that we're teaching. It's just, I believe that God gives us this opportunity, and then it's up to us to decide to either say yes and receive or take the step to meet it. And it's always when we don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. And that's what faith is. We call that walking in faith, right? So I think about the courage, right? The courage to
Mhm.
that. Yeah, it's good
Thank
stuff.
you for reminding me of that. When we spoke 2 months or so ago, I had written that down and it was so on my heart. And just that prayer of living a led life.
Mm.
And thank you for modeling that for us. And again, if for me that is partly, well, how do we muster our courage? How do we change?
Yeah.
part of for me is anchoring into my roots, which is faith and belief and relationship with spirit. And also knowing that change can happen one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Sometimes it feels so big and overwhelming. It's like when you decide to move and you're like, we've got to pack up this whole house. And it's like, yeah, let's start with the bathroom, or start with the laundry room, start
Yeah.
with this versus like, taking those smaller steps of just living in the day that you're in,
Yeah.
but choosing to honor. I have come to learn and still learning how we learn to honor ourselves is such an important part of the journey. We honor what our hearts are asking for because again, there is an energy that's heavy that requires us to maintain where we're at and maintain the status quo versus trusting that, knowing that intuition. So thanks for letting us start there because when I think about, as you asked me before we click record, what's so on your heart, and I'm like, I want to talk about the courage to change because I'm
Yeah.
living it right now. It's really real for me in this moment. And while there's lots of topics between the two of us, I mean, we could be here for 7 hours.
Exactly.
It's like that's what's on the heart. And again, like I'm asking you to all do, which is trust your heart, trust your knowing, that's on my heart and trusting what's on my heart.
Can I just tell you that one of the things that I've been so excited about having this conversation with you is how you be in the world, Tiffany, is so generous. I interviewed somebody earlier today for the show, and this person shall remain nameless, but I immediately said to my team, don't publish that. It needs a lot of help. And I
Mm,
knew, and this is again not to diss this person, but the conversation was all about her. And what I love about you, which is what I wanted to point out, is that I knew that how you be in the world, because we've known each other for more than a decade now, how you
I
be
know, woman.
is how you be in the world. Right. So I
Mm,
knew having this conversation, I didn't know exactly how you do it, but I just watched you do it. And I've watched other interviews of yours all over the place. The generosity of spirit that you bring and
mm,
how you keep turning your own learnings into an opportunity to serve. And it just gives me goosebumps thinking about that, really walking your talk. And the vision that I've had, for the last decade plus with Limitless Women is a love letter for the women who saw me when I could not see myself as a young person. And I think about now that I'm moving into the elder season and I'm here kind of lifting up the next generation of leaders. I think about who do I want to surround myself with? And it's people like yourself who have the congruence, who have the integrity. Um, it's quiet often, which is really, that still water runs deep idea. And I think about something that you said about business. And when I was listening to another one of your interviews, somebody was interviewing you. Um, I love the sales conversation. I'm super fan, like sales with ease. Let's have more conversations about sale. And there's more to business than that. So when you said like you got into business and you had this skill set and you had this knowing about sales, there's a whole lot of other things that go on with being a business
mhm,
owner and being a leader. What I heard you say in an interview was just about the power of your relationships and how
mm,
you honor people and how you communicate with people. That's so much more than a sales process. It's who you be in the world. So you talk a little bit about the power of relationships in your own life and what that looks like as a
mm,
business leader and then as a woman and as a leader in your own life.
mhm. I love this conversation. And I mean, think about the fact we're having this conversation is a testament to what you just said, the power of relationships.
Yeah, so
Is
great.
we've had a relationship, you and I, and even though there'd been years we hadn't interacted, we
Right.
pick right back up and there's a connection
Yeah.
there and a warmth that's there because there is a connection. And all of you, I have a keynote that's titled Your Currency is in Your Connections,
Mm.
right? Or you can also flip it, your connections are your currency. And so in business, no matter what you sell, every one of you are in the people business. Whether you sell furniture and you're an interior designer, right? Whether you sell health and wellness products, whether you're a fellow coach like Laura and I, you're an author, you're selling ideas, you're selling change and transformation. It's like whatever it may be, we're all in the people business. And that relationships, my friend Randy Garn calls it relationship capital,
Mhm.
is that you nourish your relationships. I call it nourishing your network, but that you show up with the intention to say, I am going to be a giver. I'm going to add value. You're going to be a VC, right? Not necessarily venture capitalist, although it could be that for sure too. But a VC was like, I'm a value creator. And you're the
Oh,
kind of person that chooses this. Now, what I love about this, Laura, is we live in a world that has all kinds of personality tests and assessments. We have
me,
astrological charts, we have
oh,
human design, you have Myers-Briggs and disc profiles. And I find all those things very interesting.
me too.
And what I'm just sharing with you isn't a personality type, it's a principle based, which is I'm
Mhm.
going to choose to be a value creator. I'm going to honor relationships. So whether you're extroverted, introverted, perfect. You don't need a personality type to succeed in business and to succeed in sales. It's you need principles. And the principle of I'm going to be a giver and I'm going to take care of people. And as you've heard me say before, when you take care of people, people take care of your business.
So good.
Right. And so it's just true. It's like, hey, I want to show up and add value. Can I tell you a recent thing that's on my mind?
Please do.
There's a gal in my network that we've known each other probably 3, 4 years. We met speaking at an event years back, and she's just a zesty, vibrant woman. And she hosts different kinds of retreats to help you grow your speaking business specifically. And she is just, she's crushing it as a speaker. She's great. Well, she invited me to attend her very exclusive weekend mastermind intensive as her guest.
Nice.
And that was a huge, I mean, people are flying in from all over. She has a wait list. Happened to be because I'm in the same town that it was like, hey, this opened up. Would love for you to come, would love your energy there. And her generosity to me, and again, we had this connection, this relationship. I've now helped her enroll several people for her upcoming events as just a form of I think it's a great fit for the clients and these friends and connections.
Oh,
It's just the power of relationship where she showed up generous with me. That
right.
generosity has currently made her quite a bit of money.
Good.
And I
Nice.
just love, like, sometimes you can see it the way, sometimes you can't, but we can go as far as deep as you want on this. Like, well, what are some of the tips and the practices and the things like this? But just knowing, like, the mindset is, like you say, who do you want to be in relationship? What do you want to be known for in business?
Right.
And it's like, so when Laura says, hey, you want to be on the podcast? Hot dang, I sure do. Let me tell me the time. We'll figure it out. We'll get there
Thank you.
100% because it's you and we have this connection. And my experience of you is always kind, generous, sharp, smart, and she's stunning. I mean,
Thank
that's like, she's just a beautiful, beautiful, stunning woman. But that's the packaging because her light on the inside is so bright too, It's just great. So, yeah, I think all of you listening, it's like, how do I want to show up in relationship? How do I nourish my relationships? Do I have any kind of plan or system to that? Because when we hear this kind of advice, we all go, yeah, I should be better at writing handwritten notes. I should reach out more and set up lunch or coffee dates. I should send the text. I should appreciate more. I should help other people get connected more and be a connector. But it's like, oh yeah, they hear it, but the living it.
Yeah. Well, and you said something earlier that just kind of, I want to pull this back in here, is the idea of self-love, right? What does it look like to nurture and nourish ourselves first? And it's non-negotiable in my experience as a leader to, my childhood was what it was. I went through what I went through that had me be where I am today. And I can say that people see me today on the other side looking really good and really put together, right? And there was so much pain. And what I grew up with was the message that I was not wanted, that if I hadn't been born, my mother's life would have been completely different,
Mm.
and the shame of that, right? And carrying that. And I think about how many people quietly carry shame and how many people quietly carry pain and messaging from their youth. Um, and how do they get through that, right? He's again, for the grace of God, that God put angels in front of me who said, "Hey, girlfriend, it doesn't have to be this way, right? There's other possibilities." He handed me books, and I was a good student. And I was hungry. I was hungry and thirsty
Mhm.
for
Oh,
love
yeah.
and attention, right?
Mm.
And there was that part of the journey, but then there was the journey of learning the power of taking care of myself so that I could give from the overflow, and not in like a just ethereal way, but like in the true manifestation of what it takes to lead leaders and to lead my own life in a way that I hope is a good stewardship of the gifts that God has given me. Talk to us a little bit about your own journey with self-love
Oh
And
gosh.
because again, the time that I've known you, you've been like the total package. No, there's always something that happened.
Oh yeah. Oh, honey,
We're
it's
alive and
isn't that
breathing.
that's an illusion. P.S. Everyone. Right? Like we're talking
Yeah.
like the effort, but
How did you
yeah,
discover the power of, the magnificence? There's one of a kind, each of us.
yeah.
And how did you discover that for
Mm.
yourself?
I love you so much. Can I just say that? Like, and I love we're
Hey,
having just some real talk. This one topic too, we could be here for quite some time, but
days and days.
I want you all to write something for me in your notes because I use the word value quite a bit, talking about adding value to others in relationship. And I want you to put like maybe the word value in large letters. And then above it, I want you to write own your value. And then underneath it, I want you to write add value. And that it's not either or, it's yes and. It's the yin and the yang. It's like having a deeper, healthier relationship with you. Yes. And having a deeper relationship with community, contribution, service that will bring you so much beauty and healing, as you know. But
Mhm.
they are interchangeable. And let me just say this when it comes to self love and the self worth work, there's absolutely, I think, levels of quote unquote healing that we can do, but it is an ongoing relationship. And the rent's due every damn day. Sorry, friends, the rent's due. Can't get out of it. And
You're
you're
alive and
laughing because you
breathing.
know,
It is so
because,
true. Yes,
and
it's
it,
not over.
yes. And let's just the illusion of like you have it all perfectly put together. Oh, it's an illusion for every one of us. Everyone you have on a pedestal on social media, if they're honest, they would say similar things. No, it doesn't mean that every day is a hot mess express. It doesn't mean that
Right.
every day we're in the doldrums of the depression or the challenges. But we need, these are muscles that we have to use or we lose them. The rent's due every day. And so that's also helped me with my process because a younger version of myself, rewind the clock, say 10 years, I was working with this beautiful Buddhist life spiritual coach. God had brought into my life and he was this beautiful human. And I was like, is this a yes? And it was such a yes. And we were working together. And I remember, Laura, listen to this. I had hired this gentleman and it was quite pricey
Sure.
all over the phone. He lived in Santa Barbara. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. And this is August. And we'd started working together probably like late January, 1st of February. So for several months. And I just thought, and I'd done workshops and things, but I'm going to hire this like man who is like in my mind, he's embodying all of this energy. And at the time, I was getting on a session with him again, probably 6 months after us working together. And I'd been feeling a lot of anxiety.
Mm,
And I got on that call with him and I was hot. And I don't mean hot in a good way. I mean hot, pissed off. I was
angry.
ticked,
Mhm.
angry, because
Mm.
I'm like, why am I still having anxiety? I know there's nothing to fear. I've done all this work, my faith and trust, and I've checked all these boxes, but I'm still feeling anxious. And in his light, lovely Indian accent, he kind of giggled. And he was just so lovely. And he just said, Tiffany, we practice love over fear.
Mm.
And part of me didn't love that. Like I want to check the box and be done with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like I want to pray for guidance, but I don't necessarily want to pray for obedience.
Right, right. But then it was like also so liberating that we practice self love, we practice self worth, we practice love over fear. I still at times deal with anxieties.
Hmm.
Anxiety shows up for me. I sometimes still deal with insecurity. Sometimes, Laura, I feel like my eighth grade self, and I have a photo of my eighth grade self in one of my keynote decks when I feel prompted to share it. And I have this permed curly red hair, these huge bangs, like I date
Oh,
myself for
yeah,
sure. There's going to be
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure I'm wearing a pair of Guess jeans and have a caboodle, like sponsored by Aquanet, everyone. You have to be a certain age to get these references, by the
Right,
way.
right.
But it's like sometime, my eighth grade self who was highly insecure, where do I fit in? I'm not wanted. I so understand the wound of not feeling wanted. Girl, sister to sister, I feel you. And I think a lot of you know that. It's like, oh, and it's like, and how do I look and how do I sound? And everything was about that ongoing insecurity. And there's times now as a grown woman, I still feel like my eighth grade self.
Mm.
I share this to normalize, right? Because we're in
Mhm,
the practice of healthier self love, self worth. I've moved that needle quite a bit. Is it perfect? No. Is the rent still due every day? Yep.
that's good.
And so doing those things like I do, okay, I start my day with intention. Some people call that power hour, morning ritual,
Mhm,
whatnot. But it's like starting my day with God, with reading and prayer. Ideally, I start my day with a workout. Right? Some days it comes later in the day, a nice walk, things that I read, things that I listen. I'm a big fan of
right.
gratitude journaling.
Mhm,
Also these classic things in the personal growth world. But at the foundation, may I say this, because those are all things we can do, and you've heard, and some of you are doing them religiously, and you're like, and there's still this really deep hole on the inside.
mhm,
At some deep, deep level, you must choose yourself. And we wait our whole lives, especially as women, to wait to be chosen. We have
mm.
a million and eight fairy tales around being chosen.
Yes, we do.
And I love that fairy tale. And I love the feeling of feeling chosen. I love when my sweetheart, the way he shows up and says and does certain things. But foundationally, I must always choose myself. And not just like, okay, fine. But some of us are hanging out with ourselves with kind of an energy like, I guess I'll tolerate you
Mm,
versus I love you. I choose you. I'm
yeah.
never going to leave you. Like some of this work, like, I've got you. I want you, like the wanted wound. I
Mhm,
choose you. I like you. Who am I? And like letting yourself even one of the gifts I think of some timing and age is like, ooh, I get to explore all these different things. Like, who do I want to be and choose to be? And what are some interests and hobbies? But foundationally, it's like, I'm going to choose me and I'm going to show up for me. There's quite a bit of healing that happens when there's a legitimate choice that's happened. Like a legit, like, oh, I've moved into ceremony. I even,
mhm.
after I got divorced, I'm married now, but when I was married before, and then I was single a long time, I got to, was in the process of getting divorced, and I took myself on a little date down to Tiffany's, and I was like,
Tiffany
warmed
and
up,
Tiffany's.
yes, warmed up my American Express, right? Like we're gonna use this baby, make it
I love
hot, get it hot. It's gonna get used. And I bought myself this beautiful little band that I wear on my right hand. I know some of you are just listening to this and some of you can see this, but this tiny little band of pave diamonds. This
Beautiful.
is my covenant ring with myself. Like I wear it on my right hand regularly. I don't take it off. I sleep in it, shower in it. Occasionally I'll take it off, of course, to clean it. But the reality of like, I'm in relationship, I'm in vow with myself
Wow.
first. And I still, even after buying the ring, it's like that was a cool moment. And I still have to practice the inner work
Mhm.
regularly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it feels like I often experience this as the good news and the bad news, right? Like the bad news, if there is a bad news, is that the that inner voice doesn't always go away, right? That it's still there. It still can pop up at times. But the good news is it doesn't have to drive us. And I love the covenant you have with yourself, right? And having a ring to actually remind yourself of your relationship and your commitment to yourself. I love that. I
Mhm.
didn't know that about you. And I love that you're
So if
sharing.
you want to go buy yourself a ring, you have full permission.
We'll
You're
give you
like, hey,
credit.
sweetheart, I have to go do an assignment. My coach
Get
gave
you
me
a
an
thing.
assignment. Yeah.
You'll
Maybe
figure
for
it
you,
out.
it's a necklace, but it was just, we have jewelry and we have artwork and things that are anchors. But I'm so glad you asked that because I think it is easy to look at someone's social media, their website, their speaker's reel, and it feels really like, wow, they're so put together. And
Yeah.
while lots of times I'm in my confidence, I'm in the zone, as are you.
Mhm.
There's also plenty of times that I'm not,
Right.
or that the blues have shown up, or the anxieties, or the insecurities, or the self doubt. And I'm getting to practice my tools once again. We practice. So when that coach of mine, his name's Dawa, said that to me, we practice love versus fear. It was quite liberating. And it's just like, I went to a Pilates class this morning. I love it. But it's like, just like you get back on the reformer, you get on the mat in yoga, we practice. And it's the same thing with self-worth and self-love is it's not like, well, I'm there, check the box. It's
Right.
that's a muscle I'm going to continue to invest in.
Yeah. And think about the value of what's worthy, again, of your time and your attention. If we think about the body as the vehicle carrying our essence, I believe in my own experience, it deserves to be nurtured and regarded with gratitude, right? I mean, because without that, we're not here. So we're not here in the way that we understand being here, right? So this is like the simple thing of, does the body want movement? And if so, let's do that. If the body wants fuel, what kind of fuel do we want to nourish it with? What do we want to give it to show it that we love it? I'm drinking my little vitamin water over here. Like, what do we want to give it
Mm,
to show it that we love it? And instead of all the punitive conversations, and I was severely anorexic as a young woman. So I just am using
mm,
like the conversation in my head around healthy eating and healthy living. Um, what's really been a paradigm shift for me is nourishing my body in the way that I would nourish a loved one, right? The way I would take care of someone that I care for. What would I feed that person? What would I give that person? As opposed to like the punitive, you can't have this, you can't have that, right? And if we give ourselves enough of the goodness, the body is so strong and resilient. It's really
mm,
magical. It's just designed. It's one of God's greatest gifts, I think, to us is to have a body that is self-healing, right? It's pretty miraculous in the whole way that it wants to grow and it wants to heal itself. Reading something about like the robots, and then one of the challenges with the robots, sorry for the brain fart, but it's going to come up, was one of the challenges about the robots is they can't figure out how to create self-healing skin yet, right? It's
mm.
one of the differentiators. They can get the robot to do all kinds of cool stuff, but they can't figure out how to make the skin heal itself. Now, by the time this comes out, who knows what will
Who
AI
knows?
discover? But I think about the
Yeah.
miracle of self-healing skin. Like, what's that all about? That's pretty
Hmm.
nice, right?
Hmm.
So good. So more nourishing, more loving ourselves, more honoring that it's not up to someone else. I love that, right? We're not waiting to be chosen. We can choose.
Hmm.
Yeah, really beautiful, Tiffany.
Mm. Well, I think it's really liberating too.
Yeah,
And as someone who is like just traveled that path very intimately, it's like, oh man, I feel you, I get you. And here's how we start to create and shift that is you get to choose.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So good, so good, so good. Lastly, I heard you say in another interview something about your keys for success.
Mm.
And I'm wondering how that feels for you today. If you were saying
Hmm.
it today while we're having this conversation in 2026, what are you aware of that have really been the pieces that you say, like, hey, this was the thing, or this was a couple of things, or this is what I'm aware of every day that I honor and commit to again and again, because the Reds do every day, I think. That's what my girlfriend told me.
Yeah.
So, like, what does that look like in your own life? You say, like, what had this success really like
Mhm.
be clear for you?
I think that, again, we could have lots of things, but if I was to pick, say, three key things that are really relevant right now, I'd say first and foremost is like we were talking about is your commitment to your own self and those practices, those habits that invite well-being, they invite energy. Like you were saying, there's certain things that we choose that give energy, and there's certain things we choose that take energy.
Right.
And so it's being in discernment of that, of making some of those as choices and decisions, those habits. I'd also say, foundationally alongside of that is my relationship with God and my own relationship spiritually. And again, however you connect to that, whether it's, for some of you, Bible study, or for some of you, that means going to yoga, or perhaps it's, doing service. And there's all kinds of ways we presence to that relationship. But I think the heartbeat of that, right, is like your own inner compass and your own worth aligned with your higher power. Like that work is so good. And then secondly, like we were touching on, is I think the relationships. And I think one of the gifts of getting a little bit older, so do we speak, or that we have a little more awareness is really being intentional there too and choosing that is
Mhm.
that relationships that nourish you and that multiply you and magnify you and that you really can make choices in your life of who you spend time with. And just because someone's been in your life for a long time, right? Like they may or may not still need to sit in first class in your life. They
Mm.
might need a new seat assignment sometimes, right? But the power of having great relationships in your life, and you don't need a million of them, but to invest in them, to show up for them, and also allow them to show up for you too, right?
Huge,
Big.
huge,
But
huge.
having relationship, right? And things
Yeah.
like that. And then finally, I'd say the third thing is that you have some form of way of contribution, service, impact. Is that, you know, all the success in the world and beautiful handbags. And don't get me wrong, I love them. Okay. I love a good handbag.
Yeah.
But what really lights you up and what really gives your life purpose and just richness is being part of something. And that's why, again, I'm so drawn to what you're doing with Limitless Woman and like the work that you do and the giving back and finding the ways that you want to. It might be joining and linking arms with Laura and really being part of that. It might be your local food bank or your, Boys and Girls Club, or you find a way to mentor, or maybe volunteering at the animal shelter. There's lots of ways to do it, but contribution service is really the secret sweet sauce of life. It really is. I think in my earlier career, nothing wrong. I still always had this vibe of wanting service and contribution,
Yeah.
but my earlier self was much more driven, by money and accolades and things.
We probably had to receive, I mean, you had to, all of us as young humans have to reach a certain level of sufficiency, right? We're in the
100%.
evolution of our psychology of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, just we have to figure it out. And then it may be, I know in my own experience, I was doing the work, building businesses and building life. And then I would be volunteering, on nights and weekends. It was kind of it was a side hustle, not kind of, it was just my side hustle. Right. And so when I started being asked to lead and speak, and it was not anything I ever thought I would be
Mm.
capable of doing, let alone embrace doing. I prayed to be shown, how do I stop having, one foot over here on Saturday and another foot over here on Monday? How do I bring these two things together? Which is really how the model of Limitless Women came together, because I couldn't see it. And I could find I could find great role models in the for benefit nonprofit world, and I could find amazing role models in the private sector world, but I couldn't find a place where women were coming together in our natural way, right? The
Mm.
way that we tend to befriend,
Right.
the way that we get to give, and I see this, I'm so reminded when I get out of technology and I get into real spaces with women in person, how natural it is for us, right? How much we really, we're designed to give, and we have to receive. So I love that you said that, right? I mean, without receiving, giving doesn't happen. Giving can try to happen, but it needs a receiver. So the receiving as a form of giving is such an act of generosity. My friend Star Latin said that to me years ago. Receiving is a form of giving. And my brain was like, what?
Mm.
Couldn't
It's
hear it,
so
right?
true.
But it really is. Receiving is an act of generosity. So I
Mm.
love that you brought that up as part of the success principle, right? I mean, it
Mhm.
really, you need to let
Yeah.
that come to you.
Yeah, and again, there's lots of ways to do it. And I think sometimes we might think, well, once I make a gazillion dollars, then I will give back. Or once I do this, then I'll. And it's like, no, find the way now, whether you can donate $20 now or 2 hours of your time a month somewhere. If you want a rich life, a wealthy life in all the ways of what that word means, it will have absolutely contribution and impact and some form of giving back. And you know this because you're living it. But just to verbalize that and how potent it is for us is like, yeah, show up for yourself, right? Show up in relationships, show up with purpose. There's lots of other things we could elaborate to, but I think the foundation is like that's to me what you're creating a successful life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
All right, my love, it has been such a privilege and an honor to
Mm.
interview you. Is there anything else you'd like to share? If you were to go back in time, is there anything you wish you knew then that you know now that you want to pay forward? You've given us so much wisdom here. So I'm like, and what else you got? What else you got, Tiffany? I love you, and I'm just going to get more of
I'm
you.
like,
And
launch. Here we go.
I gotta let you go. But I do want to know if there's any, I just want to make sure you're complete, my darling, that
Well,
you,
what comes up for me as you ask that is intuition, which is in essence how we started.
yes, ma'am, full
In my
circle.
own intuition is I love the reminder of the power of decision. And I
Mm,
just invite you listening is asking yourself, you're your own best life coach. You just need to tune in and ask yourself, what decisions do I need to make?
excellent.
what changes, choices, things I need to release, let go, or begin or continue. Like become the active driver in your life, the active architect of your life, and saying, okay, let's take a pause and let's look at where am I? Am I in alignment with where I want to be, where I want to go? What decisions do I need to make? Right? Is the power of that. I One of my favorite quotes of all time, and there's a lot of them, but one of my favorites of all time is a gentleman named Foster Hubbard, where he says, "Doing isn't difficult, deciding is."
Mm,
Doing isn't difficult, deciding is. So making some decisions, whether it's in your health and wellness, it's in your business,
excellent.
it's in your heart, your home, relationships, and choosing again to decide, choose, and honor where that might take you.
So beautiful, darling.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I love you.
Yes.
And I'm just
Love you big.
really grateful. Really, really grateful
Yes.
for our time
Thank
together.
you for having me.
All right. And before we go, where can we find you? Give us a couple of things before my computer's going to die. We're going to run out of battery. What,
Yes.
yeah, and we'll put all this in writing, obviously, but I want them to be able to hear it in case somebody's traveling. I want them to know how to
Beautiful.
connect with you, Tiffany Love. Where will we find you?
You can find me at tiffanyspeaks.com is my main website. Several free downloads and gifts for you there to help support you in your growth or sales journey. And then secondly, you can find me on Instagram at Tiff Peterson, or maybe by the time this goes live, it will be Tiffany Love. Yes,
AKA.
we'll see. You'll be able to find me though.
We'll
So
make
those are some
sure of
great
it.
places to connect.
We'll keep ourselves updated on you, and we so appreciate you, darling.
Mm, thank you.
Pleasure.
Are you a limitless woman? This is your personal invitation to learn how you can join our online community, grow through our business school, and play with us at our live events. Go to limitlesswomen.com for all the details. That's limitlesswomen.com. Thanks for joining us.